there is an important topic that we need to talk about, and that topic is Assassin. That topic is the Nightweaver specifically because this class has many problems. The biggest of them is that unfortunately our class, the Nightweaver, is bugged in the singing competition. The new event, Nightweavers are actually bugged and we deal only a fraction of the damage that we should be doing in most other bosses. So for those who don't know what is happening, the best assessment that I've come to by looking at the boss is that the boss itself seems to be immune to the Nightweaver debuff, which is this one here, Blazing Shadow. Now Blazing Shadow, as those who play Nightweaver know, is basically the biggest single damage increasing part of our build, because every stack of Blazing Shadow increases fire damage by 7% and it can stack a lot. So if you have a boss where this never stacks once, then what can we do? There's basically nothing we can do. And so far, the devs haven't addressed it. They haven't said anything. And I'm not talking about a small damage decrease. I'm talking about going from like 4 to 5 Gs to 6 to 700 million. I mean, that is like an 80% reduction in damage output. It's ridiculous. And yeah, we haven't had any word from the devs at all. I mean, yes, the devs might still be away because of Chinese New Year, but at the same time, I mean, you have an entire class that essentially isn't able to perform as they should in an event that requires you to have high damage. You know, and would there be compensation on this? It's a good question. I don't know. Like, that's the thing. And I've seen a lot of Nightweavers asking, hey, am I doing something wrong? But you're not doing something wrong. There's actually a bug. So let's take a look here, because obviously my damage normally is 4, 5, 6, 7 Gs or something like that. But let's take a look what happens. So I'm in my... Oh, I'm in the wrong because I was testing this earlier. There we go. So let's take a look what happens here. Nice damage. So yeah, as you can see, instead of doing several Gs, you found out why Sin isn't doing damage, because we're underwater and fire doesn't work in water. Well, I think that's the most logical explanation I've heard about this bug until now, to be honest with you. So check it out. Natasha's damage is pumping. She's already up to 2 Gs, and I'm sitting there at 680, and it's not going up. So this is the problem. And if you look here at the... This is what I was talking about. If you look here at the boss's HP bar, below you see all the debuffs under the boss, but one thing that you can't see is any stacks of Blazing Shadow. And this is why our damage is broken, because the boss, for whatever reason, is not receiving the Sin debuff Blazing Shadows. And this is the reason that our damage is broken here. And it's really, really unfortunate, because it's basically, if you're trying to push the leaderboards, you're not going to want to run a Sin, because if you run a Sin, you're going to be having a player that's dealing 80% less damage than they normally would. So if you look at the top leaderboards, it's basically all Eagle Eyes, Archmages, and even DPS Acolytes who are ranking higher than Nightweavers right now. So yeah, it's a problem. And I think for me, it's less of an issue of the fact that there's a bug. I understand bugs do happen. And it's more of the fact that it's been now, you know, at least a couple days since this event has come, and there's not even been a single note from the developers addressing this issue. And so yeah, it's really unfortunate. But I think the bigger problem here is not just the event, it's the actual Nightweaver class in general is just overall somehow lackluster, in the sense that I've explained on a previous stream. My feeling of this class is that you don't really have a tangible DPS increase relative to the gains that you make, the same that previous class changes had. Where do we submit bug reports? I believe that there is a section on the main Discord for bug reports. I believe there's also a ticket way to do it, but I've never done it personally. But either way, I think it's important that the devs address this, not just for the event, but you know, the whole overall Nightweaver class, in my opinion, needs an overhaul. It needs some sort of adjustment, because the damage is not stable. You don't really gain damage relative to the power that you have, that you acquire, and that's quite demoralizing. Imagine you're a Nightweaver and you gain 200,000 combat power, and your friend who's an Eagle Eye also gains 200 combat power, and the two of you are sitting there, and one goes up by 1 G and you go up by 100 million. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, the same. If you had a mage friend who went up 200,000 combat power, they do a lot more damage than you. So yeah, the main issue with this event is that the Blazing Shadow debuff here does not work on the event. The Assassin's not stacking the fire debuff, which means our damage is cooked. So very unfortunate. And I think, to me, the most important takeaway from this is, number one, developers, please fix this. We want you to fix this so that Assassins aren't totally cooked in the new event. Number two, we would prefer to have better communication on issues like this and not let them linger for, 2.5 days without even just a notice saying, hey, sorry, we're working on it, we'll fix it soon. And ultimately, we need faster bug fixes. Yeah, that's really the issue here. And like I said, overall, it would be nice if they could, instead of giving buffs to Acolyte and Swordbearer, give a buff to Nightweaver, because like I said, there is definitely some weird issues with our damage up, and it just doesn't feel as impactful as it should. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. If you're a Nightweaver, all we can do is hope that the devs hear our pleas and fix the situation. So there you have it. For now, it's frustrating. Very, very frustrating, to say the least. Yeah, no, I mean, Styx is correct. I mean, if you're in the time being, for the time being, if you have a Nightweaver and you want to do the event, just run your class change 1 Darkblade skills. It's the only way you'll do more than 1g damage in any situation, because Nightweaver is totally fried for this event. So that's a good tip. If you're a Nightweaver right now and you want to run the event and do more damage, swap to your Darkblade preset and use that in the event. That's gonna actually get you more damage than Nightweaver. So it's a small fix for the time. So there you have that.